Joining us to explain it all to us, Stephen Roberts, ABC News political analyst. Stephen Roberts, you don't see a day like Friday very often, do you?
No, you don't, and you described it well, McGraw, because give credit to the president and the Republicans. Passing that tax overhaul through the Senate was a very significant achievement. They only have 52 votes in the Senate. They could afford to lose only 2. They lost only 1, Senator Corker of Tennessee. And they managed to convince wavering senators to go along, and including some who were very worried about the deficit. Most economists predict that this bill will cost $1 trillion, that's a T, $1 trillion or more to the federal treasury down the line. But that's for the future. Right now, they can go to the voters next year and say, see, we kept our promise. We're putting more money in your pocket. We did achieve this significant legislation. But the Flynn guilty plea was very significant, not because Flynn, but because of what Flynn can say about other people. Very common prosecutorial tactic, strategy to get someone like Flynn to plead guilty to a light sentence in exchange for information. And what's got to worry the White House is that information. What is Flynn telling prosecutors? You know, colluding with Russia, McGraw, is not a crime. Lying to the FBI is a crime. Obstructing justice is a crime. Conspiracy is a crime. The oldest adage in the Washington book, the cover-up can be worse than the crime. And that's got to be worrying the White House right now.
One of the questions that I guess has sort of been crystallized since Michael Flynn has sort of pled guilty is he has what, according to the White House, was a innocuous conversation with a Russian diplomat. And then while debriefing Vice President Mike Pence, he lies about this very innocent conversation with the ambassador to Russia. Why would Mike Flynn, National Security Advisor, lie to Vice President for no reason? It just doesn't make any sense.
Well, it doesn't make any sense unless Flynn's conversations with the Russians were more complex and more damaging than he wanted Pence to know and wanted the public to know. But Flynn, look, Flynn is a flawed character. Let's remember he was fired by Barack Obama in an earlier incarnation for as head of one of the Defense Intelligence Agencies. So this is a guy who has played fast and loose, often with his responsibilities and with the truth. And people were surprised that he was only charged with one relatively minor count of lying to the FBI. But prosecutors point out that this is a very common tactic. What you do is trade this guilty plea, and a possibility of a very light sentence, maybe no jail time at all. But what prosecutors are saying is that's a tip-off that Flynn is talking, and Flynn has valuable information to give. Is it about Jared Kushner, the president's son-in-law? Many people say yes. Is it about the president directly? I mean, the great vulnerability this president has is, did he impede in any significant way this FBI investigation and the special counsel? And one tip-off that the president is so worried is that he attacked his own FBI over the weekend. He said the FBI is in tatters. And this was all an attempt to undermine the credibility of the investigation against him. And that's got to tell you that he is very worried about what Michael Flynn is saying to the FBI and the special counsel.
Well, he also told Lester Holt a day after he fired James Comey, when asked, why'd you do it? He said, the Russia investigation. It's a hoax, right, and there's nothing there. Well, clearly there was something there.
Well, absolutely. And clearly the president has been obsessively worried about this from the beginning. He, as you point out, he has admitted that the real reason he fired the FBI director was to get rid of, as he put it, that Russian thing. And so whether this amounts to obstruction of justice, that's a very important question. Senator Dianne Feinstein, Democrat on the Judiciary Committee, said over the weekend, this is starting to look like obstruction of justice. That's a serious charge, and I think we're not anywhere near there yet. But it's starting to look like the information that Flynn and others can provide to the prosecutors can get very close to the president. If not directly, certainly his most inner circle. And so for all of the celebration over the tax bill, which is justified, the Republicans should feel very good about that. The cloud of the investigation into the Russia involvement has not gone away, and it's not going away anytime soon.
Stephen Roberts, I got less than a minute. A new name on the news, K.T. McFarland. Where has she been all this time?
Well, she played a very a backseat role. She was Flynn's deputy in his very brief time in the White House, but she too could have been privy to conversations. Whether she is being investigated, whether she is talking to prosecutors, we don't know. She's been nominated as ambassador to Singapore, but that nomination has not gone through the Senate yet. But this is how investigators work, McGraw. They go to people like Flynn, they go to people like McFarland, they say, you've got a problem here. We'll go easy on you if you turn state's evidence and you talk about your higher-ups. And so she, too, could definitely be a source of information that should worry the White House.
Stay tuned. Stephen Roberts, have a good week. Thanks for checking in.
Okay, pal. Sure.